A new Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet trailer has been released and there's a lot of info to unpack, and as always we start with the classic trailer analysis. Hey, I'm Not So Ace Trainer and there's a lot of info waiting, so let's get into it. The first scene in the trailer greets us with Arcanine and Growlithe, showing not only that these Pokémon will be part of the games, but also that there seem to be different actions the Pokémon take, as we can see from the sleeping Arcanine to the left. The following scene confirms Sawsbuck and Deerling, and their presence might indicate we're about to have seasons, but maybe they will change form depending on where in the region you catch them, something that becomes more realistic as the trailer goes on. Houndoom and Houndour are the next ones shown, with that tower from the first and second trailer in the background, and while I would assume that this could be close to the desert area, this trailer shows us various different towers. The next reveal is the cute regional form of Wooper, which is a poison and ground type and seems to be in the swampy area shown in the first trailer. Snorunt are the next ones shown and seem to be in the icy area of the region, where we previously saw a Cryogonal. The next scene shows us the swimming Gyarados, followed by Onkrow and Murkrow flying in the night. The next scene shows us the city that we've been seeing ever since the first trailer, with the big building that we now know is an academy. This academy is the oldest school in the region, and the name of the city is Mesagoza, which might be a mix of Mesa, the flat top of a hill, and Zaragoza, a city in Spain. The fact that this is the oldest school might mean that it's also inspired by the University of Salamanca, the oldest school in the Iberian Peninsula. From this shot we can see something that looks like some form of watch house and an observatory type of dome. The orange in the columns indicates that this scene is from Pokémon Scarlet. Here we have our first look at the academy setting of the game. We see various students, all of them dressed similarly, although they are of different heights and builds. It is, yet again, another scene from Pokémon Scarlet, judging by the uniforms. Another thing that we can spot are different looking NPCs that might have some influence in the story. Judging by the academy setting, they might be teachers or some other type of trainers. There's also Nariyama standing at the right edge of the scene. Some of these characters are shown once again during the world overview, although none of the ones present in this shot get names. In the middle we can see director Clavel, which will keep its position from game to game, only changing its attire. Its name, Clavel, comes from the flower carnation, which is pronounced clavel in Spanish, and it is a Spanish national flower as well as a very important icon in Portugal's history, being part of the 25th of April 1974 revolution that ended the dictatorship at the time. It is known as the Carnation Revolution. I can't help but to notice the similarities to Rose, which was not a professor but a kind of boss-like position, and turned out evil. Next we see our characters in both games getting startled by something in a setting that seems to be close to a beach area, judging by the palm shadow projected from the rock. In the next image we once again see director Clavel giving his speech, but this time we can spot what is probably our character and Ramona listening to his words. After this we see what is probably our first meeting with the legendary that belongs in our game, which, judging by the area it is happening in, the legendary is probably the reason why we were startled before. We are then introduced to something called a treasure hunt that will happen in the region that we now know as Paldea. This is followed by our first look at the legendaries in riding mode, and I gotta say, it looks fine, way better than I thought. The area this is happening in can be the one right atop the big stairway that we see in the beginning. Then we watch as we ride past Girafarig and what is probably a new area, considering the lack of walls separating the city and the outside. Zooming in we can see some structure in the distance, but it's really hard to make out what it is. The red on it reminds me of the flags in the previous trailer, that seem to hint at some kind of racing feature in the games. To the left we can see a clothing store with what looks like footwear and what seems to be a headwear store, as I feel like that is some kind of hat. Another shot of the same setting during the explanation shows us Raichu and Luxio, as well as some other NPCs just going about their lives. We then see summer form Sawsbuck, which might really hint at the form change being tied to the area it is caught in and not the seasons. We then see Marip and Fluffy with that same tower in the background. Following this, we see a shot of Koraidon climbing, and right after we start flying on their backs, showing us that the transformation is instant, just like it was in Pokemon Legends Arceus. They will be our gems in these games. We will have their regular forms, the sprinting build Koraidon or drive mode Miraidon, the swimming build Koraidon or the aquatic mode Miraidon, and the gliding build Koraidon or glide mode Miraidon. This is followed by some air shots of the landscape, and then by the confirmation of Gogoat and Skittle, two of my favorite Pokemon. Here we can also see the tower in the distance, two Pokemon centers and the racing flags. Then we are treated to some new shots of legendaries, and then we see Dreadnought in the same area that we saw the Paldean Wooper. The weather is raining, and in the distance we can see the academy building. The following shot shows us a waterfall, a bridge, and Kufant just wandering around the rocky area. We then get a very clean shot at the Pokemon Center, where we once again see the same ads as in the second trailer. And we can see that the green area is connected to Wi-Fi or multiplayer, the middle one is the healing one, and the blue one probably related to buying items. To the right, we can see the Union Circle, where we can connect with other players. The next scene shows us a very modern city, completely different from anything we've seen so far. We are then treated to a very similar site as we see the two pillars from the two different academies. Naranja Academy from Pokémon Scarlet, which means Orange Academy, and Uva Academy, which means Grape Academy. There is a big library inside the building, probably holding some knowledge regarding various aspects of the game, as we can see NPCs searching through it and there's Psyduck just chilling in the corner, as well as Starly just standing on the rail. We then see a classroom which probably hints at classes being a thing, followed by this flowery town that looks just like the area that we saw in the second trailer. I still don't know what to think about this Sunflora. Is it real? Is it not? A new form with a flower pot? I just don't know. Then we see a town close to a mountain that feels like a very busy market area and somehow has something to do with Meowth. We see another shot of the town that we pass on the way from our home to Mesagoza, and then we see the reveal of Fido, a new red dog fairy Pokemon, with its name being a combination of Fido, a common dog name and also a very sad dog story, and Do. This is followed by a very sleepy Slacking and some very energetic Vigoroth, Cacnea and Cacturne dancing in the moonlight, Donphan just sliding around, and Dragonair in the waters that look to be the same as the Gyarados in the beginning, Pineapple and Fletchling just hanging around, Mismagius and Misdreavus, Bertic and Cubchoo, Pikachu, and then a shot of the city showing us NPCs, one of them eating a Bocadillo, and Pachirisu waving its slow FPS tail as it listens to some live music. Once again we see a headwear store as well as a food cartwheel with some balloons and Drifloon. Then a place where you go and get a Bocadillo, including a bacon Bocadillo, which is very weird considering Lechonk is a thing. There's also a pink urchin there. Then we see some new characters, one of which was at the ceremony at the start next to the Ariyama. A very bulky professor, a very fancy lady, a black belt, an artist, some guy with a Kangaskhan baby doll heads on his vest, where the tower is once again. I think this last one might be a Pokemaniac. The next shot shows us the entrance to the academy once again, and this time we can see there is some light security on it as well as a big screen over the main entrance. The following scene shows us approaching what I can assume is a gym in the icy area. This is followed by us approaching a gate with the same flags we saw before, and then us approaching the tower we've seen so many times. These are clearly the 3 different paths we can take in this game. Next we have an aerial shot where we can see some cave entrances, what looks like a small cover for the sun, and maybe a truck near a very rocky area. This might simply be a quarry and the truck is a working truck. We see this same area during the explanation with a Makuita nearby. Then we see Nemona near a lighthouse, possibly the one close to our home. Professor Sada and Professor Turo come right after on the same place we met them before, and then Penny, our shy classmate that has a red and bluish, violetish maybe, hair, and the lack of uniform raises some questions about her, since according to the website she doesn't come to Academy often. Arven is first shown right after, and according to the website isn't good at battles but is searching for better recipes to cook so he can help Pokemon feel better. After this we have a look at our first gym leader, Grusha, a nice type gym leader from the Glaciado City Gym. Glaciado loosely translates to icing, as in cake icing, so a fun play on words for the ice type gym. It sends out Satitan, a Terra Whale Pokemon. It is a nice type Pokemon and its name is probably a mix of Cetacean, infra order for whales, and Titan as in big. We are using Talonflame, so we should be fine. After this we see a big car with the same symbol of those flags and that gate, clearly showing us that there will be some kind of race feature in the game and it will be one of those paths we can take. In a shot of us leaving our home, it seems to confirm that following Pokemon are a thing and that the starters are very tiny. They also seem to be pretty fast, so this might actually be a good following mechanic. We then see the multiplayer gimmick being used with the 4 trainers riding their legendaries through the same overworld. We also get the confirmation of the Rotom phone coming back and are then treated to some shots of gameplay with Arven as if we are on the quest together, admiring some type of growth that look like Shinotic mushrooms but glow differently. Then we have a shot of us atop the tower with a lighthouse that's near our home in the distance, followed by a shot of us with a Scizor, a Sylveon, an Electros, an Aterin, an Altaria, and a Lechonk with its ears up. First time we're seeing this. The next shot shows us a Pokemon Center as well as 2 of those towers, meaning that we might have a lot of these throughout the region and that they are connected somehow to those multiple paths. In the next shot, if we assume it to be a continuation of the previous one, we have another one in the background as the trainer catches a Fido. We then see a Noibat evolve into a Noivern, but the evolution is happening in the overworld, which is a fantastic thing that I felt was missing from Pokemon Legends Arceus. This doesn't mean that it can't simply evolve when we want to, since nothing shows that. This overworld evolution seems to be confirmed by a screenshot of an evolved Kirlia, which also confirms the presence of a minimap in Pokemon, which is just great. Sadly, another thing that the screenshots seem to confirm is that the EXP gain and move learning happen in the battle scene and not out of it, like in Legends. The EXP share is also clearly global, as you can see on the Fuecoco screenshot. Another shot of a trade shows us two Pokemon that will be Virgin exclusive, just like they were in Sword and Shield, Stonejourner and Ice Cube. We then have a shot of a battle between a Caesar and a Golduck in some ruins, and a Hydreigon and an Ariyama in the rocky area where we saw the Koffant earlier. With all of this gameplay, only one thing was left, and that was the Gimmick. We are first introduced to Terra Orbs. This item is needed to achieve the Gimmick state of this game, Terastal, and only some trainers can have it, most likely trainers associated with the Academy. We then see it being used on various Pokemon, and it seems to boost one of the typings of said Pokemon. The typing that is boosted can be seen on the crown on top of the Pokemon's head. A diamond for normal type, a fountain for water type, flowers for grass type, and balloons for flying type. But they can also have other types boosted, as after this we are shown a Dragonite that seems to have candles on top of its head, indicating a boosted fire type. We enter what are known as Terra Raid battles, where we battle the Pokemon without having to wait any turns. I might do a more in-depth video on this phenomenon, since they seem to be a bit harder to explain here. The Terra Raid happens when you touch a shining crystal and it has a time limit, and once you beat the Pokemon, you can catch it. There is a big emphasis on treasure hunt by director Clavel, so there is a big chance that one specific goal is given at the start of the school year, and we'll all be competing for it until the end of the game. This is then asserted in the explanation on the treasure being an independent project. There is also a special Pikachu that you can get only until February 28th, so one day after Pokemon Day, and it has Fly and has the Terra Flying type. It is also an homage to the Balloon Pikachu we've seen so many times before. Now, exclusively during the world overview, we have our first look at the Paldea map on the room's wall, and it looks pretty much like the Iberian Peninsula as it seemed on the first trailer. On the website, we have a better look at not only the map's official art, but also the town map, showing us a bit of information like the name of two areas, the Inlet Grotto and the Poco Path. We then see the path to the entrance of the Naranja Academy with the Rockruff on our left. On what's probably the cafeteria, we see some Poltegeist and Sinistea, as well as a Makuhita and some Squavant. We are then treated to what looks like the biology class of Professor Jack, a character that studies Pokemon biology and is the developer of the Pokedex app for the Autumn phone. As they mentioned the three grand stories once more, we are now shown a different tower or lighthouse instead of the usual one we've been seeing, which might mean they don't all look the same. 8 gym leaders in order to become a champion is then confirmed as one of the paths we can take, although the rest are not yet revealed, though one of them is sure to be racing. We then take a look at a new town that has a gym and a Pokemon Center right at its entrance. We can spot another one of those food cartwheels which seem to be everywhere, so they might sell us some items. The ability to freely take the gyms on whatever order we wish is once again mentioned, though the website seems to indicate that there won't be any form of level scaling. As we looked at the Glaciado gym, we can see that the battle actually takes place outside of the gym, meaning that maybe the building serves only for registration. Next, we see the same area we saw in the first trailer, but this time instead of Stonejourner, we can see Hippopotas with another one of those towers in the distance. The next new shot that we see is the one of another student challenging us to a battle, meaning that we will encounter these students as we travel through the overworld. We then have a few more Pokemon confirmed, with Rotom seemingly being in the same city as we previously saw Raichu and Luxio, which is also part of this image. This could mean that there is some electric type connection to this specific city. Some shots of the Pokedex come right after, and they tell us some interesting things when paired with other screenshots. Here we can see the number of some Pokemon, with Lechonk being number 10, Fletchling being 19, then we can assume Fletchinder and Talonflame will be 20 and 21, and followed by Pawmi at 22. This leaves only 2 spaces between Pawmi and Houndour at 25, meaning Pawmi can have 2 evolutions. Then we have Fidough at 76 and Magikarp at 134, followed most likely by Gyarados at 135. We then see some footage of multiplayer in familiar areas with the mention that we can catch Pokemon that we don't have, as well as once again the mention of racing on the backs of Legendaries through the Paldea region. We also see that we can not only be together outside of cities but also inside of them, and battles seem to be happening where the battle stadium symbol is, in this case in the city of Mesagoza. Then we are simply treated to some shots of the Paldea region as the world overview comes to an end. This is my deep dive into the trailer with some explanations that I will most likely get into deeper in the next few days. As you can see, not a lot of hidden stuff, but a lot of questions raised that I'll also try to answer in the next few videos. But what about you? What was your favorite part of the trailer? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can follow me on social media and Twitch. I stream there Wednesday to Sunday, not Saturday, or join our Discord. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.